Brian, let's start with reason number one. Actually, these are in no order, but one of the five, Maps. A lot of people have talked about the Maps mess. Give us your take.
You know, look, this was clearly a problem for them, and I think really what it did, it shaped the public perception that Apple can make mistakes, where they've really had flawless execution for a number of years. This was a black eye, and it was justified. The Map product from Apple is not as accurate as Google. It lacks a lot of core features. Apple probably should have perfected it for a year before they came out with it. But as we now know, Google was holding back some of the key features from the product they were giving Apple. So Apple dumped Google Maps, came out with their own version, and a lot of people have been disappointed by it. That's been best evidenced by we've seen now, I think, 10 million downloads of the of Google's Maps now for iOS in the first 48 hours. So clearly people are reacting to that.
This is still a long-term strategy move by Apple. It's not something they were hoping would, change the thinking in 3 weeks or 4 weeks.
That's exactly right. But just the same, it's going to take time for them to get this product to be, on the same level as Google Maps. I think that next year we're likely to see Apple take a very similar approach to Google. We're likely to see Apple Cars and other things that are going to enhance the accuracy, like Google Maps has been doing for years. Because people need to know that if they punch in a location in Google Maps, it's going to be accurate right down to the foot, just like with Google Maps. And that's going to take some time to do it. But Apple will do it. It will just it'll be a little while.
Apple Cars, you heard it here first. Let's go to reason number two, Brian. Samsung. Thoughts?
Samsung has been gaining tremendous traction this year with the Galaxy S3, the Galaxy Note. The Galaxy Note 2 just recently has sold 5 million units, I think, in the first 30 days. But the Galaxy S3 has really captured the global market and made this a two-horse race. It's Apple, it's the iPhone versus the Galaxy S3. These are the #1 and #2 phones everywhere in the globe right now. And they've really made it a great race. And I think that people have been concerned about how that could, how it could affect Apple. One of the things that we've seen, Samsung has one of the best commercials out this year. You're really making fun of people waiting in line for an iPhone, and it really has helped shape the psyche of consumers in America. But Samsung is doing great. It's a boxing match.
Let's get to number three, profitability. Corey told us about some of the prices potentially coming down. What about gross margins?
The gross margins, they got it down to 36% for the current quarter, and that's because this is the first time that I've ever seen Apple refresh products across all of their product lines. We've got new iPhones, new iPads, new iMacs, we've got new iPods, all within about a 30 to 45-day period. So every one of these new products is at the top of their cost curve. And so you're going to see gross margins lower for a short period of time and before they bounce back up as the price of these components inside these products goes down. So I think this is a short-term issue. Clearly, it's something that the stock got punished on, but I think it's short-term pain for a longer-term gain. I really do.
We're almost out of time. I want to get to the last two reasons that you cite for the weakness in Apple's stock price. Competition in tablets from the likes of Google and Amazon. So we talked about Samsung, but talk about this part now.
Look, it was real. The Kindle Fire got off to a great start last year. Hasn't done much this year, I think, relative to last year. The Nexus 7 is a fantastic tablet, but Apple has countered with the iPad mini, and sales have been much better than anybody thinks. I think it's going to be about a third of iPad units this quarter, maybe half of next year. But Apple is countering that with a really strong punch, and I think it's still going to maintain 60+% market share in tablets.
And finally, something that has very little to do with technology, capital gains taxes. Explain to people what's been going on and why that has affected Apple's stock.
There's a concern that the capital gains taxes could go up in 2013. So one school of logic that behind Apple's selling is that a lot of investors are getting it off the books. Big funds are getting it off the books, so they don't have as much of a penalty to pay by holding the stock on their books next year. What's important to remember is even down here at 518, Apple's still up about 28% on the calendar year. So it's still a nice gain for a lot of guys to lock in, even in the mid 500s and high 500s. So that's one school of thought that's been one of the reasons behind the selling.